I'm here. I was in that Sonata Sewer Commission, nobody there.
Well, I don't know what town you were on, Dan, but you weren't with us.
Oh, Dan, where'd you go?
Okay, I'd like to welcome everyone to tonight's meeting of the Rockland Board of Sewer Commissioners. This meeting is being recorded, is being played live on WRPS and being recorded for playback later. The listings of matters of those are reasonably anticipated of the chair, which may or may be discussed at this meeting. Not all items listed may in fact be discussed, and other items not listed may also be brought up for discussion to the extent permissible by law. With that, I'll take a motion to open the meeting.
Motion open the meeting.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. DeRoss, how you vote?
Yes.
Ms. Valley?
Yes.
And Mr. Hessian? Yes, that's unanimous. Robin, on the minutes that I received to be approved tonight was from July 20th. July 20th.
Those are the ones. I thought I was going to have August also, but I don't. I'm on the last page.
Okay, I have the July 20th minutes approved back in December.
You did?
Yeah. Why don't we table the minutes? You get time to catch some fresh air, some breath. You're buried, I know that.
Okay, thank you.
Let me see. Administrative update, Robin.
I don't really have anything for the administrative update.
Okay, how about abatements?
I do have an abatement for 55 Center Ave. So the gentleman there owns it's a rental, and he had a newer tenant that moved in and has already left. The guy left the hose plugged in and turned on, and it split. So he had a leak. I went back, gave me a bill from the person who fixed it and some pictures. So I think he's eligible for the abatement, but there wasn't a lot of history for that tenant. If I go back cyclically for 3 years, I'd be using the old tenant's data, which is a lot lighter usage. So I used the 1 quarter that I had, which was 1,700 cubic feet. So the bill should have been $135.97 if we used the 1,700. But the bill actually is 1,400 because with the leak, it was 19,900 gallons. So he's looking at an abatement request of $1,348.62 to bring it down to the average usage of that latest tenant.
What I'd like to do is table that to the working session for discussion of next Tuesday, if that's okay with you guys.
Was there something that you wanted to look at
Well, I want to
differently?
think about that's a hefty. Well, let's put it this way. Sherry, how do you feel?
If that is the average usage of that tenant, then that's what we would normally go with. We
Yeah.
just don't have a long time frame to be looking at, but so use what we have.
Dan, how do you feel? You want?
I'd cut it in half, that's all. It's a lot, that's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money, but it was through no fault of the owner.
The bill would be $135.97 and the minimum bill is $55. So it's higher than the minimum bill would be by quite a lot.
Yeah. I'd approve that rebate, that abatement.
Mhm.
It's consistent with our past. So I'd rather be consistent in our choices. I make a motion, we approve the abatement for 55 Center Avenue.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor? Mr. DeRoss,
Yes.
Ms. Valley,
Yes.
and I'm a yes as well. Okay.
Okay, thank you for that. I have 2 drain layer licenses. That's next on the agenda. One of them is Guideline Seal and Save Inc. Provided all the correct paperwork and a payment. That's a renewal, although he didn't renew last year. I don't know why there was a 1-year gap, but he was for several years before that.
Yeah.
A licensed drain layer here. So that's Guideline Seal and Save Inc. 111 Payson Ave in Rockland. And the second one is Mitchell Associates Construction. and they're out of Shrewsbury. And those, he came to us through Roto-Rooter, and Chuck had checked all of his references. He included all the correct paperwork and the fee. So that's Mitchell Associates. So those
Yeah.
are the two.
I would make a motion, we approve both drain layers for, one for renewal and one as a new applicant. Do I have a second?
Second,
All in favor, Mr. DeRoss,
yes.
Ms. Valley,
Yes,
and Mr. Hession's a yes. However, I would like to, make also a motion that we hold off in any new applicants on future drain layers. I think we have quite a few. I'd like to modify the moratorium that, as Robin had brought up before, for a one-time use for a family member. If they're, like, for example, if a family's building a home and they have a relative that's a drain layer, they can apply for a one-time license. Or do you want to sit and think about that one?
my opinion is move it to the working session and hammer out the details on it.
How about that? Okay, so I'll put that on the agenda for the next working session. You have a problem with that, Dan?
No,
The next on the agenda is new connection requests. Park and Howard Street with attorney Shaughnessy has asked to be continued till May 18th. And I see no reason why not to grant that. So with that, I will turn the floor open to 365 I'm stuttering, 365 Concord Street and Attorney Sullivan. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Walter Sullivan, and I'm representing Champion Builders, the applicant and now owner of the 365 Concord Street. From Champion, Matt Dacey is on the line with me. My colleague, Kayla Sepulveda, is also on the phone. She's attended many of your meetings in the early going, and also the project engineer, Brendan Sullivan from Merrill Associates. As I understand this, we're here for sort of a status as to where we've been. We submitted kind of a lengthy letter to you today to sort of bring the project full circle, which we started back in December of 19, first with you folks and then with the Water Commission for permits. At that time, this project was 40 units under the PUD. We were directed to the ZBA to get a variance. The ZBA referred us back to the planning board indicating that the relief wouldn't be granted and the project was reduced to 20 units. We then went through conservation and planning board. Conservation denied the project, and we had to appeal that and get a remand, and ultimately we got all of our approvals. In the middle of all of it, of course, was COVID, where numerous hearings were postponed and delayed. My client, after getting all the approvals and the financing, purchased the property a few months ago and is now ready to move forward. So we have received your letter. We've also indicated what our understanding as to the fees were. Originally, we were granted a permit, as is indicated in our letter, for 40 units at your meeting of January 3, 2020. There was a fee schedule approved in the minutes of that meeting, again, for the 40 units, and now we have less than half of that. We have 19 as opposed to 20. The good news is my client is ready to move forward and pull the permits, and I believe can pay that fee in the next 2 to 3 weeks. And that's what we would like to do, is to move forward and get this project forward. As a legal argument, I would say that the permit is still in full force and effect under the COVID Extension Act. We were given an additional 462 days. By my colleague's calculation, Ms. Sepulveda, who's much better at math than me, that makes the permit good through May 7th. But any event, we wanted to come here, talk about the status. We acknowledge this has been a slow-moving project, like many projects are at this point in time. But we've finally gotten there, and my client is excited about it, excited to move forward, and now owns the property. So that's sort of where we are. I know that you haven't had our letter very long, but it took us a while to sort of pull it all together. We're here to answer any questions you have, and we welcome any thoughts.
Hey, I want to thank you, and I do understand you've been through a lot of hurdles with this, and again, we just received the letter today, and I spent a considerable amount of time on it. And I know you faced a lot of hurdles, and that the board approved plans for a 40-unit project and assessed the fees accordingly. But the last set of plans that I saw was dated February 2020, and it still had the same number of units, 40, and it didn't have the 8-inch main that we requested throughout the development. But that's old hat now. And also we weren't anticipating an EPA order, which we're currently under. Now I understand from your letter that the superintendent at the time, back in June of 21, quoted you fees, and that he CC'd the interim superintendent and the administrative assistant, but none of those CC'd or he had any authority to approve fees. Only the board could do that. That's by our ordinance and the town bylaws. Your client also had an obligation to allow us for any changes. We never saw the prints. Now, I know back in May of 21, we were going to rescind the permit. That was the board's error, and I apologize for that. Once we realized that error, we immediately rescinded that the following month. We also had a meeting on August 22nd, August of 22 that you referenced, where we were discussing what to do, and you weren't noticed, but we were trying to discuss what to do with all the approved projects at that time. By then, we had received the EPA's order, and it was a consent order. We had conditions that we had to meet. And we did say at the old fees, and we had no formal notification of drawings of plans of the 20 units at that time. I understand the drawings came in September, but you also got to understand that we were able to convince the EPA to allow you and the other previously approved applicants to connect. But we still have the responsibility to remove that I with the 1101 order, which in the case of this project is that with 70 bedrooms, that's 7,700 gallons a day by the Title V, but with the EPA order, Rockland still have to remove 85,000 gallons of I. And what we did is we finally took a real hard look at what our actual costs are to remove I, and that's at $6.61 a gallon. So to remove that 85,000 will cost us roughly $560,000 of revenue. Looking at the old fee, the fees that you quoted in June, which means we'd take a hit of $380,000. So with all that said, we had no choice at that time to go up in our fees. Now I understand the COVID order and extended the deadlines, and it is what it is. We understand that, but I need you to understand that we never approved the 20 units. We should have, hopefully this is the first appearance for the board to do that. And unfortunately, if you stuck around for the meetings, you're going to find out we're still way over capacity. Our permitted discharge is 2.5 million gallons a day maximum. Our average for last month was 3.6 million gallons a day. Our 12-month rolling average is right now is at 2.6 million gallons a day. The board, well, I think I can speak honestly for, well, we're going to honor our approval of the 40-unit plan with the applicable fees assessed at that time. So the obstacles you had to overcome to get to this point, we had to also get the obstacles over us with the EPA, and coupled with the fact that we're really broke. That's through no fault of yours or your client. But, I don't see how we can honor the fees that were quoted in June of 2021. And I understand this is all short term, and if you're willing, I'd be more than happy, so we would be more than happy to sit down and negotiate a reasonable settlement for that. But by rights, we shouldn't even allow anyone to connect, and we're going to honor our old member. And right now, aside from your project, we still have another 28,000 gallons we have to honor. We have a project out there that's hopefully at a cost of $800,000 is going to remove 120,000 gallons of I&I which what we have approved is still leaving us 192,000 gallons on the hole. What's your thought? What would you like to do, Mr. Sullivan?
Oh, I think Mr. Dacey and I would love to have the opportunity to come meet with you folks sooner rather than later. I've set out what our arguments are, and I don't think there's any useful purpose in me going back and forth.
No, I don't either. And I want to honor our commitment to you of, we approved the project. And yes, we said we'd do that, but I don't think any of us, I'll be honest, I was expecting a request for information for the EPA. I didn't think would be getting nailed with a consent order the way we did.
Yeah, and again, I'm here to represent Champion, right? So, but from an equitable standpoint, placing aside what the COVID extension order allows, my client wouldn't have moved forward. You know, if he was looking at $500,000 in II with the project. So there's a reason we started with water and sewer and permitting this project was to understand feasibility before we spent the money. My client has obtained financing to construct this project where the bank has relied on the permits from water, sewer, planning, and conservation. So we would like to sit down with you and work out something that's equitable to everybody. I think Mr. Dacey can address that as well, but I think that is our intention. The good news is he's prepared to pay fees. He's prepared to move forward and get this project moving along.
And I'm gonna tell you right now, I think we have no problem. The whole purpose of this original, of that letter that you received last month, was to just get us all together to find out where you were. And I'm glad you're moving forward on it, right? Because it's been over our head for a long time. And we didn't know what to tell the EPA. Would we have this? Would we not have this? Doesn't matter. We're still in the hole, but we are going to honor our commitment to that connection. And I would like to. How would you like to proceed from here with sitting down and negotiate? Would you like to do it with the board, or would you like to do it through Mr. Galvin?
Well, whichever the chair, whatever's at the pleasure of the chair, and we can do it sooner rather than later. I think.
Oh, I want to do it sooner. I don't want to hang you up any longer than you've been. I don't think it's fair to you or your client. What I could do.
When do I see the paperwork?
It's in your in basket there. It's in the government one. I don't think you saw it yet. I just got the memo tonight. I can get you copies tomorrow. We have a working session scheduled for next Tuesday. The best I could really do is maybe a week from next Tuesday, if that's okay.
That works for me, Matt.
Yeah, that works for me. Can I say a couple things?
You may say anything you wish, sir.
Thank you. Matt Dacey from Champion Builders, the owner of the property and the Conrock LLC. I appreciate that we can do this. Okay. I know that we initially come in for 40, and I know that I'm looking at an email from the sewer superintendent back in June of 21 that was well aware that the project was reduced to the 20 units, which is 19 new units plus the existing house that's there. So like Walter said, I mean, we're willing to sit down and get this thing worked out because we want to be a good participant in the community, which we have been previously. And I continue to think that we will be going forward. So appreciate it.
I don't think anything is going to prohibit us from coming to an amicable agreement. You know, again, but you know, I have to look out for the residents of Rockland, and the bottom line is that the easiest we're getting out of this is the sewer department's going to need about $380,000. But I want to sit down and talk. That's at least where it stands right now. But again, let me set up a meeting. On calendar. Let's see. Next week is the 25th. So, how does May 2nd sound at 2 o'clock at the Rockland Sewer Plant?
It's fine for me, Matt.
I will work around your schedule. If it's require an evening, we could do an evening.
No, we can be there, right, Matt?
Yeah, we can be there, definitely. Yep.
Okay, May 2nd, 2 o'clock, Rockland Sewer Department.
You need anything further from us?
Pardon me?
Would you need anything further from
No,
us?
I think no, and I'm going to ask the same of you. Do you require anything from us?
I don't believe so.
Mr. Chairman, did you say we have the building plans?
Excuse me, yes, I saw the building plans that I took from the site, the planning board site were dated September of last year.
Thank you.
Is that correct? That's
Yeah.
the most recent set of plans?
Yes, I believe that's correct, Brendan.
Thank you.
Yes, last date is September 12th, 2022.
Okay. You wouldn't have to have another full set, would you? Full size set?
I could get some to you.
If you could, I really would appreciate it.
Okay,
If you get them down to the Rockland sewer plant, that would be great.
Okay.
We can make arrangements to review them there.
okay. I mean, just one copy?
Yeah, just one copy would be fine. We can look at it.
Sure.
Listen, thank you very much for your time and your understanding. COVID and EPA has been a beautiful partner.
Sure.
All of us. Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
very
you,
much.
everyone.
Thank you.
Okay, now you guys gotta listen to me juggle my notes around for a minute. Okay, next. Okay, what did I do with my agenda? Sure, what'd you do with the agenda?
I got it right
Got it.
here.
I got it right here.
I got one, but it was wrong telephone.
Okay, next on the agenda is, let me see, let me get, okay. That out of there. Believe it or not, I'm highly organized. Okay, I remediation schedule. The project started March 13th with cleaning lines, testing, and doing some sealing and grouting where possible. Now, this week they began some lining work. I'm going to share my screen for a minute, and I'm going to be talking out the screen, so bear with me. Everybody see that map?
Nothing there yet.
Not yet.
The map? Okay,
Wait for it.
little dots in that is where they've been working, and I'm going to try to trace them out on
There, it's there.
here, Park Street, Exchange Street. This is the entire area that we'll be going after in this project.
Chuck, that's worse than trying to watch a hockey puck in a Bruins game, the way your mouse is moving around.
Oh, okay, okay. Well, this is the map, all the dots of where they're working. I don't watch hockey. Anyway, the black, as you can see down there, is where they've actually gone in with the cameras. The green indicates areas that they've done some sealing, just to show you the extent of the work that's got to be done. Now, out of the 120,000, let's say 119,000 gallons they predicted they'd removed, they've actually estimating now to date that they think they've removed 23,000 gallons a day. This means the project we're 19% complete. It's due to finish August 18th. And one of the things that's good with this is that we have this crew out there, and yesterday we were working on Linwood Street and Concord Street, and they found a significant leak by the condominiums there. I don't remember what the name of the Robinwood or Robin something or other.
I think it's Robinwood. No, it was Linwood Street, Linwood and Concord.
So they found a significant leak there. So what they're going to be doing next week is going to go over there, move a crew over there and attack that and see if they can get that out of the way.
But was the leak a water leak that was penetrating the sewer line?
I think they think it's sewer. It was water. It was groundwater getting into the sewer.
Okay.
Now next week and this week and next week, the lining is going to be done on Howard Street, Exchange Street, and Taunton Ave. So they're moving right along. I'll get into some other things on the I&I a little later. The rate study, the final report is due next Friday. We still have, they're just compiling all the questions they had. answering them, and they're going to put it in a written report. We should have that for our working session Tuesday.
Can we go back to the I for 1 second?
Yep,
I
everyone.
think people are noticing the trucks. They're out in the street. I've seen them as I drive around town. I'd like to make a suggestion that we put something on the Rockland Town website, Facebook page, maybe a few other town pages to let people know what's happening.
Okay, but the one thing we can't do is give them an accurate schedule on the street.
No, but just, this is
I
why
know,
you're
but
seeing
it's going to be confusing to them. We've announced that it's Green Mountain Piping doing the work. They've since been bought out by Inland Waters, so they'll see the truck Inland Waters. But if they see that, Jerry, if you could work up something to go on the website, great. Inland Waters will be doing the I work. And so that's predominantly the truck you're going to be seeing.
Yep.
And if we can, we'll publish as best we can a 2-week schedule onto the website.
I don't think.
No,
Can I make a suggestion? That thing changes. That changes so often. I think we're gonna get in trouble if we put that out there and it changes.
Okay, just
a general, what I'm suggesting is just a general explanation.
okay.
Trucks are out in the streets. You'll see them at the manholes. They're working on our I for the sewer department.
Yep, and it would be Inland Waters or Green Mountain.
Yes.
Let me see what else we have on that. Okay, that's on that. The rate study I just mentioned, we should see the final report for our working session Tuesday. Generator replacement, that's going out to bid tomorrow with Doug Lapp's help. Tomorrow there's going to be a tour of the town electrician. Rick, can you help me with that? Who else is the town electrician? Megan's going to be doing the tour.
Correct.
Meg, who else is coming? Do you recall?
Robin sent me, well, let me see. Hold on. I don't recall.
I don't know if they were both electrical inspectors,
John-
but one,
Yeah,
Hold on, I had the email.
that's okay. It'll be the two electricians, the town
yeah,
electrician.
their names are Michael and Jack. I know Mike is the electrical inspector, but I don't know. Jack's an inspector as well, but I'm not sure if he's also electric.
All right, and Doug said he may attend, and
But then,
go ahead.
but then Doug ended up also saying that there was another guy that I don't know who he is.
That'll be John Allard. He's the
John, yes,
the other
John.
guy is the selectman.
Oh, okay.
The other guy's on tonight, so hello, other guy.
Hello, I'm so sorry.
That's okay, man.
This is why I don't talk. I'm just gonna stay muted.
We're gonna refer to as, yep. So that's where we are with the generator. Now, the digester boiler piping, the digester boiler, Rick, you jump in on this one. I think they're just at the point of calibrating the software.
Digest boiler. Yes, yeah. Also, jumping ahead a little bit, the boiler, the piping update, Chuck. That's going out to bid next week.
Yep.
For 26. And what they wanted to do is they wanted to add before it went out that the selected contract is going to have to calibrate the new digester boiler as part of that. So that was being added to the original contract.
And
so that's
one of
finally
the things I want to, people wondering how things change. Last year, we estimated this at 300 and 350,000 due to state requirements and materials. Yesterday, we got a quote for $480,000, a preliminary quote. After some brief negotiation, there was no 9mm involved in that, but some brief negotiation, we got it down to a talking range of $400,000. What we've decided, we're still going to go out. It's going to go out to multiple bids, but that just shows you the fluctuation costs and pricing right now. However, even with that, we're not going to make the state deadline, but with the documentation in place, Hallam and John Iott from Veolia feel comfortable that they will grant us an extension, as long as we can show we're making progress on the project itself. It's not being delayed through no fault of Rockland.
So the EPA is going to grant the extension?
I think that's just the state, isn't it, Rick?
That's correct. That'll just be the state.
When you say the state, Mass DEP,
Mass DEP.
thank you.
And I think, they're just like the EP. As long as you show goodwill, good faith, and movement, I think they'll buy into it. The CWMP Phase 3 final draft, again, we're going to have that probably next week. That's going to need 30 days for public comment once we get that. Now, that's going to push us beyond the EPA order deadline of April 30th. We've spoken with Dave Turin and Dave Burns from Mass DEP and Dave Turner from the EPA. They understand that a lot of this was driven by that order, the amendments. So they have given us a verbal that there's no problem extending that through the comment period. So with that, I'm looking at a public presentation probably sometime in early June.
Is that after the public comment?
Right, after the
period?
public comment is finalized and the document is finalized with all the public, because the public comments have to be included in that.
Okay.
Let me get that map off. I hate that. We'll be
Oh, I
going.
have a question about that map now that you took it down. All the little red circles that were on there, those are all of the, no, but those are all the areas that we're targeting for I&I, every circle?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
I'll give you a copy of that. That's just manhole to manhole where we're going.
Okay.
Okay, CWMP, I have that. Okay, well, the other thing I wanted to put up would be, let me see if I can find that one. Eeny, meeny, miny. Oh, damn, I didn't put it up. Well, I lost it. Well, what I wanted to put up is the project manager's cost to date. That I didn't even print it out. Come to what where we're at now with the project manager. Let's see. To date, we've spent $18,346. That's a projected cost for 12 months of $31,500 for 12 months.
What did we spend that on? I kind of lost you. I thought we were on generator replacement. Where did you jump to?
We went through, after we got to the generator, we went to gas piping.
We still on continuation? No, because then I lost you.
Okay, let me go back for you. Okay, the generator is going out to bid next week.
Right.
Okay, gas piping. The spec is in the final stages. And because of state requirements, the costs are higher than were anticipated. We initially planned 300 to 350,000.
Right, I got all that. You negotiated the new price down to 400, which was great.
That's a ballpark price.
Right. Then we did CWMP Phase 3. And if I'm following you and the agenda, we should be on generator replacement.
Okay, I jumped over that. I'm sorry. Okay, so let me come through the CWMP. Let me back up and get you where we should be.
Yep, then generator replacement.
Okay, the rate study final report I mentioned. And I mentioned the generator study. And what I just wanted to bring up was the project manager's costs to date. That was not on there. That was what I wanted to come in for the rest of the project update.
Oh, okay. I got you now.
I'll submit that. One thing I did want to go back onto was the with the I&I. The board has been aggressively. Where's my little blurb here? We have a project out there that's aggressively going after the I&I. You know, it's a reality to get to a position where we can comfortably add new users. I mean, I've given you the month end of where we are. We should be down realistically before the only true measurement of when you can add. We should be at 2 million gallons a day. That's just not feasible given our current situation. It's not practical. Now, what would to get to that point, we'd have to spend about $4 million, but we're not going to be doing that, of course. Now, with the $2.5 million that we hopefully are going to get approved at the town meeting for the design, the maximum, it's a guaranteed maximum design price. In that $2.5 million, Veolia, Suez, Veolia, Wright Pierce, and Weston Sampson, in that contract is they're going to help us coordinate, investigate, and prepare any funding requirements that we have for both the facility and going after I&I. So that is going to be a big portion of next year's push, is for getting the funding. Now, the way we met last week on the phone with Jess, I think I heard her last name, I'm sorry, from Wright Pierce, who was their financial analyst manager, and with Veolia, and they are going to, she's with Wright Pierce, and Veolia is also going to help us out. They're going to arrange a meeting with Representative DeCosta and Keenan sometime the end of this May, that they have contacts in there that can do that. And we're going to work through the state funding possibilities. We're going to focus on that right now because they were telling me that there's still $1.7 billion available in state ARPA funds. And we want to react to that, and they're going to help us jump on that, hopefully. Now, once we get what we need from the state, they're going to set up a meeting with Elizabeth Warren, and I forget his name, and it's going to bite me in the ass. I know is it John Auchincloss, or the state congressman or rep, and they're going to ask to meet with them, with Wright Pierce, Veolia, Weston Sampson in the board in September to go after any and to identify any funding help they could we may need. And they asked us to stop beating on the drums for any community support we can get in writing, like the South Shore Chamber of Commerce, North River Watershed Association, any other business group. So I just want to let people know that that's not being stagnated, that we're looking at getting as much funding as we can also for I&I as well as a facility. Should I go backwards or anything like that? No. A continuation of old business. The only address I want to make is, I guess Lori, Ms. Childs still has a heartbeat of understanding the $80 million in the upgrade. The upgrade was initially came in 2020 at $49.1 million. That $80 million figure is what we presume it's going to end up costing us by the year 2033, because we're projecting this out over 10 years. Anybody can see the upgrade in raw materials and everything since COVID has just been insane. But we needed a figure to do the rate study and to do our budget and to do our planning to fund this upgrade. That figure came to us through consultation with Wright Pierce, Veolia, and Weston Sampson. This was not something that the board just made up. There was 3 prestigious engineering firms who have done this numerous times, and we try to figure out what it would cost us in the year by the year it was done, which we're projecting to be 2033. And that's with no slip ups. And we all know Murphy's going to address us.
Did you say the original price was in 2020, 41.9 million?
49 million, $49.1 million.
Oh, 49.1, okay.
And that was in December 19, January of 2020. And again, we're looking out the cost of materials, and we're trying to look out 10 years from now. And we haven't even started the project. So like I said, we needed a figure to begin with. This was not something we made up. As far as the letter to the Board of Selectmen regarding Lori's comments and at the last meeting, not this past one, the previous meeting, Sherry drafted up a letter. The board received it, I hope. To me, there's no need to read it into the record, Sherry, unless you want to.
No, it's available through any request.
Okay, I would say post it on the website. And if anyone wants to see it, they can read it there. But I'm not going to go back and forth with the Board of Selectmen. It's not productive. Current capacity update, which is what I really wanted to get into right now. Where are we? Yeah. Capacity situation is not good. Our 12-month rolling average is 2.6 million gallons a day. This facility, again, is designed for 2.5 million gallons. For very short periods of time, we can treat 6 million gallons. But these guys are jumping through hoops to treat what we're getting in here. Last month alone, the average flow was 3.6 million gallons a day for March.
What was the 12-month rolling average? 2 point
12-month
what?
rolling average is 2.6 million gallons. That's going back 12 months. Last month alone was 3.6 million gallons. Now, Rick and I had numerous conversations, and I think we're both convinced there is one big leaker out there. And I'm not pointing fingers. That's not what this is intended to do, but it's such an anomaly. It has to be coming from something recent, meaning in the last couple of years. And the only thing I'm wondering is if the construction of the new school has really upset the water table and it's found a hole to gravitate to the sewer system. But the I&I study will find that.
Weren't we doing something with flow meters up in that area?
Well, that's what we're doing. Like, I'm getting to that. Now, part of the I&I, separate from the I&I removal, we have a program out there right now for a 1-year monitoring plan. Now, that 1-year monitoring plan is going to be comprised of, not only camera work, but it's putting out 15 meters around town, flow meters around town. Now, what that's going to do, it's going to help us locate areas. It's not going to be specific leaks. It's going to locate areas in town with high flow. We're still going to have to take money from I&I to research that camera work and finite it down to the points of those leaks so we can go after it. Now, in the past 20 months, we've been out of monthly compliance 73% of the time. And I'm not here to preach doom and gloom. I'm here to give people accurate numbers. Now, you heard the conversation with Mr. Sullivan in 365 earlier, but totaled, we still have another 28,365 gallons a day that we have not seen yet. That's just in our approved projects. That means we got another, with the 11-to-1 ratio, means we have 312,000 gallons we have to remove for the administrative order. Now, if we get that 120,000 gallons of I&I removed through the work we're doing right now, technically it's still going to leave us 192,000 gallons in the hole with the EPA. And we're going to have to accommodate that. We're going to have to go after that. But what I'm bleeding into is based on that, and there's going to be a letter going to the planning board, zoning board, board of selectmen, building inspector, and the water department, informing of our position. And we have been bantering this about at every working session we have, and we're killing ourselves with revenue with this moratorium. But what we are attempting to do is show good faith to the EPA that we are making strides. We are going after the I&I with, as we said we would, with the ARPA funds. We're honoring that commitment. We did put a plan in place to help us find out additional I&I, but that's the 1-year monitoring plan. And hopefully the biggest thing in our permit in that order is the phosphorus compliance. I think we demonstrate that, and with the phosphorus compliance approval, I think we may be in a better position to negotiate with the EPA to say, look, I said, we need money to go after I&I. Grant money is nebulous. So we're going to have to stop bringing in some revenue. But as it stands now, we cannot allow anything in more than 4 bedrooms for at least a year. That 4 bedrooms will be 440,000. It's below the 11-to-1 ratio, so when we won't be tacking on to that. But just for an example, for people to see, say in grand total, we allowed 25 total bedrooms to come in. That's 20, one development, 2 developments, 4 developments, 25 total bedrooms. That would mean we'd have to remove, that comes out to, I think, 30,000 gallons a day, and do the math. We have to remove 11,000 gallons of that, 11 times that. We'd just be in a hole we can't get out of. So again, what we're trying to do is show the EPA we mean good faith, we're moving forward, and with what capital we have, limited capital we have, to remove I&I now through the ARPA fund and with the funds that we have and hopefully have through town meeting. We've got a plan in place to investigate further source, but we don't have the revenue to go after that future source. And that only going to come through grants or allowing more users. And if we went to them right now with a 3.6 monthly average, I don't think we stood a chance again. We
I
already
have
know.
a question.
Pardon me?
I have a question, Chuck.
Sure.
So we put that effluent meter on the plant, right? And before we were always measuring from the front end, which is higher once the water is treated, and other towns use the effluent measurement. And I know we talked about it before. Are we ready to start measuring from the effluent meter rather than the incoming meter?
I'll turn that one over to Rick. By the permit, we cannot, we only have to require to report our monthly, but as far as that flow meter, Rick, why don't you fill us in on that?
Absolutely. So right now, what we have been monitoring the effluent flow meter. We've had a little issues with it. It's actually coming in a little lower than the influence. So we've been monitoring it. I've had the vendor out there multiple times. We've done some work on the actual piping itself. So at this time, like I said, we are monitoring it. We are using the effluent numbers, but
There's no real difference.
there's no real difference. Yeah, it's up, it's down, but there's really not a lot of difference.
And that would lead to another discussion, Robin, that we had to actually get that to report accurately. That is a man-made discharge stream. It's discharged through a 30-inch diameter culvert pipe, and it's causing turbulence, and that turbulence is just throwing the software all to whack. The only way we could, and I don't know if they're going to buy into my reasoning, was that would have to, and it'd be very costly, to extend that pipe down that man-made river with an elbow and record it with some kind of a paddle wheel. But again, that would come at a real cost. So Rick's jumping through hoops trying to see if there's a way we can comply with that. But we're going to have to notify the EPA sooner or later that it's just not working out.
Well, that's disappointing because we were looking forward to that number being smaller.
I know that, but it's compounding our problem.
Is the vendor assisting us?
Yes,
Yes,
they've been very good.
yes. Yeah.
But again, it's you got to remember this plant is what, 65 years old. When that was designed, it was a 30-inch culvert just blowing out to that river. Well, it blows out and drops real hard, so there's no way to check that. It's just causing so much turbulence. The flow meter software just can't actually. We thought we could improve it by going deeper at the receiving pit, but that didn't work.
Right. So the main culprit, Sherry, is the way it comes out of that pipe. It's actually already in the stream. In order for the properly work, the water needs to come out and basically drop into the stream. And what even worse is when we have these high flow events like we had earlier in this month, the whole pipe was totally underwater. So it's trying to read the water that's underwater, and it's been coming, like Chuck said, it's been very difficult. And it's not like they're not trying. They're pulling their hair out, trying to figure out how we can get this thing more accurate.
And again, this place was designed and built in 1962. And we don't.
Can I add to that?
Oh, you please feel free.
So I just also wanted to add that whatever comes into our plants, so whatever flow comes in should come out. So our influence should also equal our effluent. So it should be equal to it. It should come very close to that
Should be very
amount.
close. Yeah, should be
Very
close.
close. And it hasn't been coming close to that. So that's the issue we've been coming to.
Got it.
Well, because that ends our capacity discussion. Primrose School, I'm in the table for future reference. I want to research something a little more deeper. Next in line is a rate increase. We conducted a rate study, a very in-depth rate study. One of the big hitters was how we could fund this potential upgrade over the next 10 years, 15 years.
It's not on the agenda.
Huh?
I'm not seeing that. Is that on our agenda?
Rate increase vote, yes, right under.
He
permit.
skipped it. He
Sorry.
skipped around, I think. Proposed memoriam amendment for July was next, then articles for town meeting.
Sorry. Go ahead. Carry on, Chuck.
I don't see that for the vote on here. It's somewhere else. We're out of order.
I thought I have it on my agenda.
Hmm.
Okay, well, anyway, we have to vote on the increase that was, we don't have to vote on it, but the
Yeah.
rate increase that was done, I think, was very thorough, very meticulous. Again, for those of you who weren't aware, they talked to every single department in town, got long-term projections on population, on growth. The study is a great study, and its draft form is up on the website. And it recommended a 10% increase for the next 7 years. And again, that's not just a thought to fund the upgrade, it's just to keep the department functional. And with our fingers crossed that there's no catastrophic failures in equipment. So with that said, our current rate is at $7.41. The rate study recommends a 10% increase for fiscal year 24. We just went up fiscal year, we just went up in January 25%. I'm going to make a motion that we follow and adhere to the rate study for now of an additional 10% rate increase for fiscal year 24, bringing the rate to, I believe it'd be $8.15.
Yep, $8.15.
$8.15 per cubic foot.
And that's effective.
July 1st of fiscal year 24, July 1st of this year.
I second that motion.
All in favor, Mr. DeRoss? Dan?
You're on mute.
Yes.
Ms. Valley?
Yes.
Mr. Hessian's a yes. What I would, Sherry, I like the idea if you could put that up also on the website. There will be another increase based on the rate study. The rate study is up there. And again, these rates, this 10% is projected out through the next 7 or 8 years. It's not fixed at that. That's what they're recommending we do. We could go higher, we could go lower. But right now they're recommending to meet the status quo as it is today, that we go 10%. And I would like to follow that. We did have an addendum to the rate study that we're going to review it again in 9 to 10 months, 10 months before the next fiscal year to see where we stand. And again, in 3 years and in 5 years. So it's subject to change. Hey, what do you have next on the line, Robin?
I'm going to admit that I was wrong. I think I printed the agenda and put it in the folder, and then you gave me some changes.
Okay, then we're going to go with mine.
So I'm just keeping you on your toes, Chuck.
Okay, mine is the next item I have on the agenda. Update the planning board and I'm going to send it to Mike Corbett.
Before we move on to that, can I just clarify one other thing on the rate?
Yes, please do.
Would you like me to put something on the bill for Tuesday? I'm doing billing for the next quarter. Just bear in mind that the first quarter has already been billed. Those people, by the time they see the notice, it'll be their July bill and the rate will already be increased, but we can reach 2 of the 3.
No, but if you could, without killing each other, I would really appreciate that. And, we could keep reminding people at our working session and on monthly meetings too.
All right. That was Sherry's suggestion at the working session meeting, and it makes sense to do that.
And then a little blurb just on the sewer website page.
Do you want to Do you want to give me the language for that, what you wanted to say, or do you want me to word it?
You can write it. I mean, you're more skilled at that than any of us. You know how it goes.
Yeah, I mean, it would mirror whatever you're going to put on the bill, so.
Okay,
Okay, I'll just sum it up. I drafted a letter. I sent the board members a draft. I'd like to finalize that at I mentioned it at our last meeting. Since talking to you, I made some changes to it. I'm trying to get those. I thought I got them out. I'll make sure I get it out to you. I really want to pay attention to that. I want to get that out to the planning board, zoning, the board of selectmen, water, building, so everybody knows the situation we're in. I mean, we're at the point now, let's face it. We discussed it Tuesday. We simply cannot take any more hearings for new connections that are over 440 gallons. So once that letter gets out and they receive it, we'll make that announcement final that we cannot take any more applications for new connections.
when are you sending that out?
As soon as Sherry and Dan approve it, well, hopefully that's on my agenda for Tuesday. And we'll get that into your hands Tuesday afternoon.
All right, thank you.
Proposed moratorium amendment for July 1st, 23. I think we can table that now until we get through town meeting and see where we are. Because if we're going to change anything, it's going to be based on when we can allow people in. With that, I'm going to take a breather and turn the meeting over to Sherry for articles for town meeting.
So the articles for town meeting, the sewer department has 6 articles that we're asking the voters to vote on. And what I'd like to do is just run through each one of them and explain it. Article number 62 is, will the town vote to authorize the sewer commissioners to take from the sewer undesignated fund balance the sum of $100,000 for repair and or replacement of system pumps and injector stations, or take any other action relative thereto. The intent for this article is for the Spruce Street station. Article 63, will the town vote to raise and appropriate, borrow and or transfer from available funds in the treasury the sum of $62,153.32 to be expended under the direction of the Rockland Board of Sewer Commissioners for the purpose of funding sewer pump and injector station repair and or replacement and or related items. That $62,000 will be comprised of the $37,153 funded through a transfer of the unexpended balance from Article 40 of May 2021 town meeting, and $25,000 from the sewer undesignated fund balance, and take any other action relative thereto. The intent of this article is that we are asking for an additional $25,000, which we will combine with the $7,000 that we currently have for plant pump repairs. Article 64, this is for the infrastructure plant upgrade, move the town vote to appropriate. This is the sum of $2,500,000 to be expended under the direction of the Rockland Board of Sewer Commissioners for the purpose of funding wastewater treatment improvements and upgrades pursuant to a mandate from the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, including all costs incidental and related thereto. And to meet this appropriation, $1 million is to be funded through General Fund American Rescue Plan Act funding, and the treasurer, with the approval of the Board of Selectmen, is authorized to borrow $1,500,000 pursuant to Mass General Laws 44 and other enabling authority, and issue bonds and notes of the town, therefore, that any such bonds or notes shall be general obligations of the town, but it is the intention of the town that debt service first be paid from sewer enterprise fund receipts, and that the Board of Selectmen is authorized to contract for and expend any federal or state aid available for the project, and to take any other action necessary to carry out the project. This is the start of the plant upgrades. It's $1 million from ARPA funds, $1.5 million in borrowings. The debt service is the interest on those borrowings, which is covered under the rate study. So that is part of the increase that we just voted on. Article 65, will the town vote to raise and appropriate, borrow and or transfer from available funds in the treasury the sum of $667,200 to be expended under the direction of the Rockland Board of Sewer Commissioners for the purpose of funding wastewater treatment plant repairs, with $127,200 funded through a transfer of the unexpended balance from Article 32 of the May 2022 annual town meeting, commingled with an additional sum of $515,000 funded through General American Rescue Plan Act funding and $25,000 from the sewer undesignated fund balance, or take any other action relative thereto. This is for the digester boiler and boiler piping. The Board of Selectmen pledged $515,000 in ARPA funds for this project, of which $315,000 was expended for the digester boiler. And as Chuck just explained, the piping is coming in higher than what was originally anticipated. So we are asking for an additional $25,000 from our undesignated fund to be combined with the ARPA funding, to be combined with $127,000 that is existing in one of our current accounts.
That was Article 32 that had the 127,000?
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Article 66, will the town vote to amend the so-called Town of Rockland, Mass. Sewer Use Ordinance adopted in 2008 and last revised by Article 33 of the May 2nd, 2011 annual town meeting as follows. 1, changing the name of the Town of Rockland, Mass. Sewer Use Ordinance to the Sewer Use Bylaw of the Rockland Sewer Department, authorizing the town clerk to insert the same after the approval of the same in Rockland Town Code in Division 2, General Bylaws, Part 2, General Legislation as Chapter 390, Sewer Use. And further, by deleting the word ordinance each time it appears and inserting in place thereof. And further, that the town clerk is authorized to make clerical or editorial or other adjustments related to incorporating the new sewer use bylaw into the town code. And 2, amending Section 2, General Sewer Use Requirements, subsection 2.4, new sewers and sewer connections, by deleting the sentence stating the fee is currently $10 per gallon per day of any new discharge, leaving the remainder of this subsection. As the sewer department was investigating updating the sewer ordinance and updating some of the rules and regulations, it was discovered that the sewer use ordinance was never actually put into the town bylaws. So that's what this article will do. And from there, the sewer department can then begin to update rules and regulations. Article 67, will the town vote to establish a sewer stabilization fund under Mass General Laws, Chapter 40, Section 5C, effective for fiscal year 2024, beginning on July 1st, 2023, or take any other action relative thereto. This is going to establish our stabilization fund. We are not anticipating funding it for this year, but it will be ready and waiting for the following years.
Sherry, there was some confusion that
Okay.
we gave money away that, and we're still applying for money. Do you want to, can you clarify that?
Which project are you speaking of?
The one that we gave away the 130,000. So it's when we refunded Primrose, and what that other confusion was, why we were asking that money. We're not really asking for the funding. It's a reallocation of the funding.
It's a reallocation of the funds. Yes, we are not asking for that. It's a reallocation of funds that we currently have.
Okay. I know we did it at one of the working sessions, but I'm going to make a motion that we reaffirm our vote approving the articles for town meeting. Do I have a second?
1, 2.
Second,
All in favor, Mr. DeRoss,
yes.
Ms. Valley,
Yes,
and Ms. Hession's a yes. Sherry, thanks a lot for all the work you did on that.
oh, you're welcome.
Chuck, I'm sorry, can you just state the motion again for me if you don't mind?
Okay, I make a motion that we reaffirm our motion to approve the articles as written for town meeting. and as presented. I'm not gonna go with the numbers because I can't remember them.
No, I have all the numbers. I just, even though Sherry talks slower than you, it's still a struggle sometimes to keep up. Thank you.
Slower.
Did you want the article numbers, Robin?
No, I got it all. Thank you.
Okay.
Actually, are you going to share that document with me so I can keep it with the minutes?
This is the town of Rockland warrant.
Oh, okay, right from the warrant.
Right from the, straight from the warrant, yes.
Thank you.
Okay, Sherry, you want to give a quick update on our working sessions?
Working sessions. Working sessions, the past working sessions, we have been reviewing connection requests and having some general discussions on the impact of those requests, the impact on the capacities. We've discussed these articles and the budget, spent a lot of time getting ready for town meeting. We've also discussed next year's revenues or lack thereof. We are continuing our superintendent search. We're looking at job description and the qualities that we are looking for most immediately. And we're also looking at different outside of the box resources to find candidates. We discussed Beach Hill. There's been some major repairs up there. We've been trying to monitor the progress. And I'll speak more to that there as part of the accounting update. Our upcoming working sessions, we are going to focus on funding, finding grants, all possible avenues to offset some of these big costs that we're anticipating in the next couple of years. We're going to be talking about managing new connections. As Chuck said, we don't anticipate anything new in the coming year, but we still need to figure out the plan forward. The superintendent position, and then again, just planning for the future. I'm going to segue right into the accounting update.
Wait a minute, I didn't announce that yet. You can't do that. Okay, Sherry, how about the accounting update?
Thank you, Chuck. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The budget to date, overall, so as of March 31st, we are 75% through fiscal year 2023. Overall, the entire budget, we have used 71% of our funds. So that seems pretty good. Personal services, 62%. Other services, we're at 72%. Just general charges such as encumbrances and insurances and so forth, 73%. I will point out that there are two areas where we are over budget, and that would be our legal services and drainages. But given the other accounts where we are under budget, it equals out to, we have used 71% of our budget.
Speaking of legal, did you ever get a breakdown, a detail of those legals?
I do actually have a list of the invoices. I don't have the actual ones. I'd have to, we can.
I have the actual invoices, but they're very vague, and
Yeah.
there's a lot of it's redacted to only what's for sewer. But I'm going to tell you, there's probably one sentence for each thing. You really have to think hard on what it was.
I still would like to see them for our next working session.
I think if we look at them and we can kind of look at the dates of the invoice and probably come up with a reasonable determination of what they were for. Keeping in mind, we had a lot of work for the EPA, a couple other matters that came before the board.
No, I understand, but I still would like to see that.
Yep, I will make sure I bring that to the next working session. Finally, I just want to, as part of the accounting, the Beach Street repairs, I did a quick add of invoices, and it appears to be $42,000 spent. So we might want to take a look at that at our next working session.
Absolutely, because what was it, the bill
We
was
had
24?
We had a contract for $24,000. And we understood that the materials would be extra to that.
Now, it's my understanding that highway splits up drainage. Did they pay the drainage half?
We charged all of that to I, that whole project up on Beach Hill.
But don't they reimburse us for part of that for the drainage?
No, we reimburse them. They do the work and we reimburse them. Highway never sends money our way. We send money their way.
I think we should just look at the invoices and figure it out.
Yeah, I want to take a look at that. We'll table that for when we get a break in our working sessions. Listen, one thing I do want to do is I want to absolutely publicly thank Sherry and Robin for all the work they've done on this budget. I mean, we've been at this since what, September, August, trying to figure out where and how, and everything came together. And Robin, thank you very, very much for everything you've done. Sherry, you too.
I would like to echo that. I couldn't do any of this without Robin. She's.
Oh my gosh,
really-
you guys, thank you
You
very
can-
much.
You have contributed so much and I appreciate it so much.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you saying so.
Yep, absolutely.
Superintendent search update. We do have a candidate. I spoke with Stacy Callahan and they're going to schedule an interview sometime the first week of May. This candidate is going to, how we're going to conduct that, it's going to be conducted at the sewer plant. It's going to be recorded to cover the open meeting law and play back later. So that's all I have to say on that. Like I said, it should be the first week of May. I've not heard back on that yet. EPA update. The next EPA report is due the end of May. We are well on our way to complete this. There's no doubt in my mind we'll make that. And what I asked for is to have the final version to us for our May 18th meeting to vote approval on to send it into the EPA. The big portion of this, the submittal, is partially my fault. I wanted it laid out in a manner that it could be plug and play in the future. So that's why the effort was so high for the November submittal. So the future submittals will be much, much lower as far as cost and effort to put them together. Like I said, it's just going to be plug and play with all our activities. That was a reason for that map. So the map can go in with it and show where we've repaired, getting updates on how much they think we've removed. And so all that's going to be make it real easy. And while we're on the phone, I just got a quick text from Wright Pierce that the draft CWMP is in our email box. Basically. Future meeting time discussion. We probably me just before Dan and Sherry came on board, we knew we were going to be talking about an awful lot of money, $80 million, 49, 80 million, whatever you want to call it. Is nothing to be slighted at. We knew we were going to be looking at a lot of discussions on rates. And I just felt that it would be best done in open forum when a lot of people could attend the meetings. Now with COVID, well, that came in after the fact, and most of the people were working. So I felt that meeting at 7 o'clock televised would be sufficient. The COVID Zoom has been continued for another year, 2 years, 2 years. But what we're thinking of is moving the meetings to 3:30 to 5 on the third Thursday of every month. They will still be recorded for playback later. So no one will be missing anything. They'll be available on YouTube. So with that, I'll entertain a motion to move our monthly meetings to 3:30 to 5. I was going to say 3:30 to 7, but forget that. 3:30 to 5 on the third Thursday of every month, and to be taped. The exception to that will be if we have a special presentation, say from a Wright Pierce or a Weston Sampson, for example, the CWMP. I'll make sure it's at night so people can see that. But with that, I'll make a motion that we move our monthly meetings to 3:30 on the third Thursday of every month.
I second your motion.
All in favor, Mr. DeRoss,
Yes.
Ms. Valley,
Yes,
Mr. Hessian's a yes. Had nothing to do with missing Red Sox games. Okay, with that, we're down to future presentations. The only one now is was the CWMP. As I said, I just very shortly got the email that it's done. The board is going to need, at least I will need, at least 2 weeks to digest that thing before we send in our comments. I advise you, Dan and Sherry, to look through it carefully. There's a lot of information in there. It's going to be a combination of 1, 2, and the final one. The final is the most important. Rick, I'm going to make sure you get a copy of that. Megan, you as well. Any questions you have, feel free to jump in on it, because a lot of it on the phase 3 is going to pertain to flows and options. So, I mean, you two are the best to fill us in on that. So do not hesitate to voice your opinion. So that will be in June, TBD. The other update, Rick, I want everyone to know that Rick has taken time out for his vacation down at the Caribbeans
Yeah.
to attend this meeting tonight. So we're going to keep it short and sweet for Rick. Go, you're on.
All right.
Thank you
So,
very much Rick, for your
on
presentation.
the agenda was the SSO. We went over that last
We did
meeting.
that. I'm sorry.
No, that's fine, but I don't believe we talked about the reverse 911 calls.
Yes, please
So-
do on that.
Yeah, so since that meeting, I had spoken to Dave Burns of the Mass DEP, and he said that the town was following the strict notification plan. We did everything correct. Myself working with Robin on this one, the last one we had on the 15th of March. The only thing he did state was, the biggest thing was to get it up on the town's website, to update it every 8 hours, and that we did not need to do the 911 reversal call. I guess he had heard through the grapevine that Rockland had done it, and he kind of told me that Rockland was the only town that did it. So notification was everywhere. Obviously, like Chuck said earlier, we had 3.6 million gallons this month, and we also had 5.28 inches of rain during the month. So again, going forward, we will not upset the residents, but it will be posted on the town website when we do have one, the next one.
I do also want to jump in on that, just so people understand what Rick and Megan are facing. That at one time during the month, they were looking at 5 million gallons a day coming through.
Yeah. Well, we actually, during that storm, Chuck, we actually hit 7 million.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was absolutely crazy. So that's why we had to do the we basically ran out of room at all of our tanks. And at that point, we were forced to do the notification plan per the Mass DEP. With that being said, I just kind of the monthly operating report that Megan recently completed. Again, like you said earlier, Chuck, 3.6 MGD. Our as we all know, we keep hammering this month after month, week after week. Our flow is 2.5, so we were a lot higher this past month.
And April doesn't look good.
No, it never. It's just unfortunate. Repair and maintenance, really don't have anything right now going on. I think the biggest thing right now that I'm working on is the effluent flow meter, and hopefully next month I'll have an update. There is a possibility we could change the meter to a mag flow meter, but again, I think if we went that route, we would have to get approval through the EPA and tell them exactly what's going on. So I will keep the board updated on that as soon as well, basically what we're trying to do is get the month of April's data in and compare it to the influent flow that we'll also getting at the same time. Generator placement, Chuck already talked about that. That should be going out to bid very shortly. The boiler, we've hammered that again next Wednesday, I believe, 4/26. That should be going out to bid. Staffing, I actually have an interview coming up Megan and I think it's next Tuesday. And then I have another gentleman that'll probably end up scheduling him for the following week. So we're hoping that will eventually, come to our full staffing plan. And the last item, markouts. I don't know, I guess it's the spring and everyone's doing work throughout the town, and I think we're averaging probably 10 a day. The other day I sent Megan, I believe I sent her like 24 of them on Monday. I think people like to think their plans out on the weekend, what they want to do, and they send these things out Monday morning. So again, it's keeping the staff extremely busy. I mean, it's not like I have these guys just sitting around, waiting in a room, waiting, waiting to pounce on these markouts. We do have to do the markouts, but we also have to run the facility for the town and the residents. So again, we're doing the best we can with these markouts. It's just at times that I think as a staff, we're overwhelmed, but we'll continue to do the best we can. And that's all I have.
And like I said, Rick, and I think you and everyone know, Megan, I hope you know that you guys are not taken for granted. I, for one, after 40 years of this, I know what you guys are going through. And if anybody had been in previous wastewater facilities, for a facility that this old and that mechanically in tough shape, these guys keep it looking like it's brand spanking new, and they do a hell of a job keep maintaining those flows. So I think we got the best crew going, and I can't thank you guys enough.
Thank you, appreciate that.
And you follow them on,
Thank you.
you and Meg, you may guys want to discuss is, where we change the meeting dates, if you guys want to rotate coming, or if you want to even just say, supply me with an update.
Yeah.
Leave that up to you to work over.
We can discuss that. Yeah.
Yeah, I actually, the 3:30 actually would work great for me, Chuck. So I don't see an
Okay,
issue.
so you guys work it out however you want to do it. I mean, I know what you're going through too. So for time wise, if you need a break, I mean, if that's something you just want to say, hey, I'll feed you the information, you babble on, I'll do that.
Sounds good. Appreciate it.
The last thing I want to bring up is that I had mentioned last month that I had met with the Abington Rockland Joint Water Commission. It was an awesome meeting. A lot of good ideas went back and forth. And we've agreed to meet sometime in May. I'm going to be sending out an email to Crystal Cameron about hopefully an agenda on a couple items just to get the ball rolling. Abington Sewer said they wanted to attend, but I think I'd like to focus this on Abington, on the Rockland water side, since what they do affects us and what we do is definitely going to affect them. So,
Is this going to be a joint department meeting?
yes, I think I'll run it by Crystal. I think we're more apt for room wise to do it with our conference table. Everyone sit around. It will be an open public meeting. It'll be taped. But I'm not sure if we'll allow public comment at that time. With that, I don't know how many public is here. I'm going to turn it open to any questions anybody has on tonight's agenda.
On your meeting, which you just mentioned with the water department, I don't think they tape their meetings. I know they don't tape their meetings.
I know, but I'm going to tape ours, so it will be taped.
How? Are you going there? Or are they coming to you?
I'm probably going to bring. I'm going to suggest we have it here. We have a video camera set up that we could tape them.
Yeah, at the sewer department.
Right.
Yeah. Well,
So they're coming to you.
pretty portable, isn't it?
What is?
It is, yeah.
We could ask them if they'll allow us to tape it. I mean, I don't see any problem with it.
You can. I just want to make sure I know how you're going to tape it.
All right. Well, when it's all ironed out, I'll let you know.
I know, Sherry. I do the same myself.
No. I think just for room wise in a conference table, I think, we're best suited to do that. We can set up around us, and, I'll talk it over with Crystal probably next week.
And they do have public comment.
Oh, okay. Then we'll allow you to talk away. Like I said, they had some good ideas. I mean, for example, what we face with I&I and the sump pumps, they've got the same problem with irrigation systems. So that's
right.
We could work something out there. Okay, so I have down the next meeting will be May 18th. And per the board, that will be at 3:30. I'll change my monthly notes to show that.
So is that the third Thursday in May?
I don't know. I think I moved that one up because of the holiday.
Oh, all right.
I thought-
No, it's the third
That is-
Thursday.
That is the third Thursday, and that would
Yep.
be in person at the plant.
Maybe we could put a little blurb on the website saying future meetings.
Mhm.
That makes it easy for me too, because when people call and ask about the meetings, if I can tell them a consistent time and it's
Yep.
always the third Thursday, that's helpful.
Yeah, I'm thinking just a little banner across the top.
With that, is there any final comments by the board members?
No.
Anybody? Mr. Ella, do you have anything to say at your first meeting?
No, it was very informative. I'm glad to be here. So,
Glad to have you.
thank you.
With that, I'll take a motion to end tonight's meeting.
I make the motion.
Do I
I
have a
will
second?
second that.
All in favor, Mr. DeRoss,
Yes.
Ms. Valley,
Yes.
Mr. Hession's a yes. Megan, Rick, think again. I mean, if you guys don't want to attend, I understand completely, and I'm more than happy to read your info for you. You know, you put in a long enough day.
All right, no problem. Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
Megan, I'll see you tomorrow at 1.
Yeah, we'll see you. Thank you.
All right.
Good night, guys.
Have a good night, everyone.
Night,
Good
everyone.
night.